Hello. Thanks for joining in today. We've started some discussions about talking about the nature of our society and the reasons that cause why it is the way that it is. I find that we've been having these discussions, of course, with long text, and I find that typing these out takes me all day, and I know it's not fun for people to read. So I was feeling led to try something new, try something a little different. So I thought we might just try to have a little bit of a discussion and try to record it and see how that goes. So I hope this works. And just to say up front, I'm not really comfortable with this whole public speaking thing on video, but we'll see how this goes. Hopefully it'll go okay. So we've been talking about society and the world that we're living in and how did it get this way and what are the causes, and if we can understand the nature or the cause of something, then it helps us to understand what we can do about it, which is a lot of what we're here to be talking about. So today I thought we would maybe have a discussion about this idea of fair trade, fair market value, fair market, whatever that might be. I'd like to begin with inviting you to join me for a moment to imagine. Let's just travel back in time for a little bit, for a few thousand years as a matter of fact. And let's just imagine that we're there, and let's say I've got a loaf of bread, and let's say that you've got, say, a chicken, and I would like some bread, or rather, you would like some bread, for example. And I'm thinking about the possibility of the chicken, or if the chicken offends some of our vegan or vegetarian friends, we could think of it as perhaps a bottle of milk, or maybe a basket of vegetables, for example. So you have your chicken and I've got bread. So we strike a deal, right? Let's say then that this deal that we agree to is that I give you the bread, you give me the chicken. So we both get something, right? I got what I want, you got what you want. That's fair, right? That's what we would call fair trade. So we could think of this as the beginning of fair trade. And it's the basis of what we've all become familiar with. So this would be the basis of what many of us think of as barter, and which is the idea that a lot of people will go to when we first start thinking about this idea of there's something wrong with our system and we need to do something about this. So people go, well, we should all just go to barter. So the idea that part of what I wanted to get across here is this idea of, all right, so we entered this idea, this agreement, based on that you have something that I want and I have something that you want. So we trade, and everybody's happy because we got what we wanted. But what I wanted to mention was that the underlying, the unsaid principle, the unspoken principle that's going on there is the idea of what's in it for me. And that this is the heart of the merchant attitude toward the world. And this is the basis of what drives the world that we're living in, is what's in it for me. So we have been taught to think that this began as just as we need to pursue our own interest in order to get what we want, and that this is the way that the world is. But let's consider it. Okay, so let's just take it a little bit further. Suppose that I've got a loaf of bread and you would like some bread. So I'm going to say, so what do you have to offer me? And you've got your basket of vegetables there. But what if I don't want your vegetables because I don't like Brussels sprouts? And I don't like Brussels sprouts. So what do we do then? Well, or maybe you don't have, what if you don't have something to offer in exchange? Maybe you're not really a farmer and you don't have vegetables to offer, or chicken or something. What do we do then? You need food to eat, right? So what do we do? So then I might say, well, you need to find something that I want to trade for it. Well, in the old days of history, well, maybe that would be seashells. But what if I said, well, I don't really need a pocket full of seashells, so that's not really going to work. And we've heard stories where people kind of talk about this, that, oh, well, this is why it's necessary, because we can't just, what are we going to do? Walk around with seashells and everybody have a big bag of seashells that they're carrying around? Well, that doesn't make any sense. And I've even heard this given as the rationalization behind why we have to have a currency. But that leads us to the next thing. So if I said, all right, well, no, I don't want the seashells, but I want you, so what I really want is I want money. I want a currency. I want coins in exchange for the bread. So what are you going to do? Well, at that point, if you want to eat, what else can you do except to go out and figure out how to get the money that's required? So in a way, I'm putting you in a position where I've got control, I've got leverage over you. I can basically tell you to do whatever I want and bring me whatever I want, because I've got control, I've got the bread. So then there's not a lot of choice except to go out and figure out how to get the money, right? So what if you say, well, I don't have any money? Well, I could say, all right, well, I'll tell you what, I need some help making this bread. I need someone to take the loaves of bread, and put it in, put it in baskets and like carry it to the places where it needs to go. So you can come and you can work for me, and I'll give you a few coins, and then you can pay me for the bread. So you're like, okay, we'll do that. And so you come and work for me. So let's take it up a notch now. So what if I get control of all of the bread? Then I can ask whatever it is that I want, right? Or what if we raise it up a little bit more? What if I got control of all of the food, so that the only way that you can eat is if you come and bring me the money that I demand? What are we going to do then? So you're basically in a position where you have to do whatever it takes, right? If you want to eat. Well, so far we started off talking about fair trade. So it started off as a fair trade, but now the principle of that I've got control, because I've got control of what it is that you need, that's grown a little bit, right? So what if that gets carried away? I mean, if I've got control of everything you need to live, then I can demand whatever I want, right? I mean, this is something that 30 years ago, we were trying to talk to people about things like the cost of a loaf of bread or the cost of a gallon of milk. And at that time, you could get a loaf of bread for about $1.25. Milk was about the same. And we were trying to tell people, like, so what if they raised the price of bread up to $5 for a loaf of bread, or milk for $5 for a gallon of milk? And they just laughed. It's like, no, that's not going to happen. Anybody been to the grocery store lately and bought a loaf of bread? Right, currently, a loaf of whole wheat bread that's not as like full of like artificial stuff in it, it's $5. A gallon of milk is going on $7 now. So, at this point I could say, what are we going to do if it gets to the point where a loaf of bread is $10 and a gallon of milk is $20? What are we going to do? Is it fair trade then? So I just wanted to raise a few ideas. I wanted to start with this idea that we were all told that this idea of fair trade was a good thing, that it's in everybody's interest. And this has gradually developed this idea, or not the idea, but it has gradually developed this principle, this underlying principle of society that's all about what's in it for me. because this justifies the actions of those who are trying to take advantage of the situation for the sake of profits and more or less exploiting the needs of your fellow man and the needs that you guys need, or that you need in order to live. I'm not sure if this is coming across, but the point I'm making is this idea of what's in it for me. That's at the heart of this world that we live in, that's controlled by, we would call it the merchants. And the merchants are holding what we need to live hostage unless we pay the price. So in some of the things that I've said is that we live in a world where everything has a price on it. And we've been so conditioned to accept that, it's like, yeah, okay. And they would have us go, so what's the problem? Well, it's only a problem if you're not able to satisfy the demand. Then it becomes a problem. That's when we get the situation of people living on the street. So speaking of having somewhere to live, let's rock this up a little bit. So let's suppose that you need somewhere to live, and let's say that you say, I need a house. And let's say I go, okay, I got a house. You can buy it if you want. It's only $300,000. It's like, wow, $300,000. Yeah, $300,000. That's fair market price because I said so. So what do we do then? Well, I need somewhere to live. Okay, so I'm going to say, all right, you need somewhere to live. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll set up an arrangement for you here that you can buy the house, and I'm going to set up an agreement, a contract, and we both sign this contract, and we'll make it so that you can have the house. And this contract, though, it's called a mortgage. And so before I can agree to this, though, I'm going to need for you to put up something we call collateral as a value to guarantee that you're going to pay for this. So I'm going to need you to sign this contract. So you're going to promise something in exchange. And I think that your immortal soul will do. How about that? No, I'm just kidding. But what we are going to do is we're going to make this loan, we're going to call this a loan. It's going to be for 30 years. And we're going to break it up into nice, even little payments for you that you can pay monthly. And there's just going to be a little bit of interest that's involved. And so if, yeah, as long as you make your payments every month, everything is fine. And after 30 years, if you've made all of your payments, then through the magic of compound interest, you'll pay 7 times of what the sale price is that we're agreeing to now. But we're not going to talk about that part. But what we do need to talk about, though, is that if you don't make all of the payments, regardless of how many time or how long that you've been making these payments, if you miss any of them, I'm going to take the house away and you will have nothing. You're good with that, right? So some of us watching this may have been through this scenario a little bit, but it may have been presented a little differently, and it may look a little different in the way that it's presented, that, oh, this is a good thing, you're pursuing your future. So chew on that one for a little bit. But now okay, so another scenario. Let's suppose you go, oh, wow, oh, yeah, I forgot the part that, oh, yeah, so we're ready to go. I just need you to sign these contracts, and you'll just need to give me the 20% down payment, and of course you'll need to qualify for the, the credit check. What? You don't have the 20% down? You don't have, what would it be, $60,000? You don't have that. Okay. We got a problem then. So we'll have to figure out something else. Well, I tell you what, I've got something else. I got another choice for you here. I have an apartment, and you can rent this apartment. You can pay monthly, and it's only, we'll say, $1,200 a month. and you get you get a living room and a kitchen and a bedroom. And as long as you qualify for the credit check, then we can set you up with that. You'll just need 2 months in advance, and we'll get you started. We'll get you in. You can have a nice place to live. And of course, you don't have any ownership of that. I'll retain that, but you'll have a place to live. So, how does that work for you? $1,200 a month seems a little high. Well, I remember a day when rent was somewhere around $300 a month. You could get a whole house for that. Nowadays, as I understand it, $1,000 to $1,200 is not really that high. So, the point being, they can demand whatever they want and call it fair market. So, I guess the point I'm asking is, what really is fair market or fair trade? Is it a set of principles that basically is for the purpose of what's in it for me? And have we grown to the point where our entire society is based on what's in it for me? Which means that it's some way of taking advantage of somebody else, or the one who's being taken advantage of. Are you being lured into a sense of, well, we have to do whatever it takes in order to survive, so we'll go to a job to get the money because that's what's required? Not quite sure what else to say about that at the moment, but let's just think about the idea of, actually I'm thinking about the feudal area, or period rather, back centuries ago, around the time of like the 10th century, to where the local peasants who lived near the castle and the land baron that owned the castle would tell the local peasants that they can farm on the land around the castle, and they can make a better life for themselves and their family, and they can work and farm and grow things and profit from it. Except that then they find out that the requirements by the landowner, the baron, was that they had to give basically the majority of what it was that they produced to the land baron, just to have the rights or just to have the privilege of living on the land and farming and working. If we compare that to a lifestyle in current society where we go to a job, we spend all week working at this job, and we get our little pittance, our little token paycheck at the end of the week, and we're supposed to be grateful for the opportunity to have that paycheck. And then we go home, and then what do? Well, we start paying the bills, which have been accumulating all month. The never-ending list of bills. We could start listing them out, but if you'll think about it, I think you're familiar with the list, because the list is basically endless, and it's meant to be endless, and it's also meant to be never-ending. There's supposed to never be an end to it. It's a never-ending cycle that we're all trapped in. We've all been programmed from the time we were born to accept that this is the way life is. So, where does that leave us now? Some people would say, oh, we're just sitting around complaining about the way things are, and in a way that's true. We're making a statement that this is not okay, because we have to start somewhere. If we're going to make change, we have to start somewhere. And we have to first understand the nature of what the problem is in order to be able to do anything. We have to understand the nature of the problem before we can take any kind of action to create a change. And this is what we're here for. We're going to start with talking about some very simple ideas, and we're going to develop that into a better understanding of the nature of the world we're in. And we're going to take that to another level to understand, to have an understanding, an idea of what we can do about it. We're going to look for the weakness that makes it all work, and we're going to disable that. It's going to take some time and some effort and some conversations. It may be that not everyone here is interested in that level, and that's fine. As society progresses into this shift, this progression that's happening, there will be people There will be opportunities for all kinds of things that people can do, and that's all great. In fact, I've been thinking we may try to encourage this environment to be a little more open to more variety of ways that we can start looking at how can we influence society and start working toward creating the shift that we would all like to see happen. So this was just a starting discussion. It went much longer than I had intended to, but hopefully it's not too bad, and hopefully I've managed to keep your attention for a while, and hopefully we can move from here into more interesting things for us to discuss. So thanks for spending a little time with me, and we may see how this goes, and if people like this format, we may do some more of this. Thanks. Bye.